Hey everybody, Max here, and today welcome to part 2 of my Action Force Vanguard review. Part 1 was the Reaper figure. Part 3 will be the Hull armor system, which came bundled with the Vanguard, along with the rocket launcher and the updated machine gun. So everything that is available for the Vanguard you can get bundled together, and I decided to buy it all at once during their July 4th sale. So I'll be going over all of that today. So wanted to start out with showing you how many figures you can get on it and some of the positions you can put them in and everything. So you got the the roof gunner, you got a tail gunner, you got 4 people on the runners, and you got 4 people on the inside. So if my math is mathing, that should be 10. I've heard some people say they can get 11, but I don't see where unless you stick another female figure in the tail section. But other than that, I think 10 is your standard. And so anyway, we'll get this guy off of the stand and we'll break him down, look at the weapons, show off the interior, and do all of that stuff, and I'll give it my usual review rating at the end, so stick around. Okay, so here we have all the figures off, and now let's talk about the weapon systems. So we've got this turret on the top. It kind of ratchets around a little bit. You can go completely 360. It's not a smooth transition. You can tell that there's a track or there's pegs or something in there that kind of, you can hear it as it turns, kind of locks in place in different positions. So there's that. So there's tabs in there. I'll take this off and show you in a second. But let's talk about the machine gun. Very cool design. Quad 50s or double 50s. I guess it's technically quad 50s. You just can't mount 4 of them. But this is the updated one, so it has the you can traverse up and down. Now you can go. It has really good range of motion. It's just the belts, the ammo belts, impede a little bit. If you want to have them fed, like completely into the boxes, the ammo cans, it's going to look a little strange. It's going to bend the plastic. But if you take them out, you can see just how far up and down it can go. And of course there's this single peg here. It fits in right there. So that was probably the biggest criticism people had, was this is the original one, and it did not traverse. It just kind of went side to side, didn't go up and down. So it traversed up side to side but not up and down. Came with this honking big blast effect. And I think it's been pointed out in other videos that the weight of this thing is so solid. And I've tried it out. I'll show you in a second. But if this thing did traverse, the weight of this blast effect is going to drop it down. So maybe that was the thinking as to why it didn't originally do that. But if you put it onto the updated version, it does drop down. Now, these are obviously Marvel Legends Iron Man repulsor effects, and the pegs don't really fit, so a little handy tack goes a long way if you want to use that, and that's a great way to they're not heavy is what I'm trying to say. So if you put this in there, and this might not work, yeah, but there you go. The handy tack it won't go all the way in, but well, it's kind of staying still, but I can feel the weight. It's definitely nose heavy now. So over time, I bet if I let this sit overnight, it would probably be drooped down by the time I checked it in the morning. So there's that. But it does, I mean, it's not too loose or anything, but I think over time it probably. But you can, try it out. But I like these particular repulsor effects. I think they're nice blast effects, and they fit decently. I mean, like I said, you have to put some handy tack in there, and I'll get that out, but at some point. But that's the machine gun, and of course, just for giggles and grins, the standard one. And that's what it looks like. Pretty cool. Side to side. And then you can take this off. I kind of have to squeeze it a little bit. So this brings me to my one maybe my one and only criticism of the Vanguard, and that it only has 2 tabs to lock it in place. I was a little surprised at that because while I know this is for adult collectors and we're not going to be roughhousing with this vehicle in our backyards like we would if we were still children, it just seems like 4 tabs would have been better, just in case, you know, the plastic ever gets brittle or what have you, or just accidents happen and you knock one of them off. You now only have the one to keep it in place. So I don't know why it wasn't designed with 4. I think that would have been a much better design in case if you lost one, you still have 3 to kind of keep everything in place. Because I can see if one peg was gone, it's probably going to be a little wobbly now. The look would probably be the same, but anyway, there's that. So you got some pretty good, and this plastic feels solid. It's thick. You know, some might say it sounds brittle, but it doesn't feel that way. And it's got some molded on rivets, and not quite sure what all of these ports are for. Those of you who are in the military, please let me know. I mean, maybe they're like other places where, you know, like if you could, now if this was completely open, somebody inside the vehicle could pop up and fire from cover right there, you know, like fire from the side, they rotate it around, get a little more, you know, something along those lines perhaps. This one seems to be angled up, so maybe they're firing up, but so they have cover. So I guess, you know, that's what I'm thinking. That's what it is. And then you have some, you know, plating, you know, like steel plating right there, molded in. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it looks good. Other than the 2 tabs, I think that's the only thing I'd really ding it on. Machine guns look really good. The ammo boxes don't come off, but you can take out the ammo belts. I mean, well, now this is the original. You can pop them out a little bit like that. I can't get them out completely out. But this one, yeah, yeah, I don't want to pull them. So you can feed them into the cans, but they're molded or glued into the machine gun. Hopefully you saw that. I apologize. I'm standing up instead of sitting down. So a little different camera angle than I'm used to. So I apologize if I'm missing or my hands are getting in the way. Let me know in the comments section. I'll do a short review to update. So I'll do a YouTube short. So yeah, really cool. So I do like the machine guns, but what truly sold me on this was the rocket launcher, because I just think this rocket launcher looks awesome. And it too has the 2 tab system, which is, you know, like I said, I think in future iterations they should add a second, two more tabs on either side here. I think that would be great. And it feels pretty hefty, not too heavy, but just kind of, you know, it's solid. You know, it's got some, you can tell it just doesn't feel cheap. It feels solid. There's no give to it. And I do like the design quite a bit. And it's kind of funny. I mean, the rockets are only this big. They only fit in here this far, but they could have made this thing a whole lot smaller. I mean, there's just all of this extra space. Now, that's not necessarily a criticism as much as it is maybe, you know, in real life, maybe you need that much backblast, that much, you need the tube to be that long to help, kind of like rifling, you know, like the longer the barrel, the more velocity you get, something along those lines. I don't know. I wasn't in the military. I've never fired a rocket before, but that's just what I'm thinking might be the reason. But if not, I think maybe this could have been cut down. This probably could have been significantly shorter because the rockets are so short. So, but again, I do quite like the look of it. It looks very, very cool, and it has a ratchet system. You can go up and down, and then once you install it, it can go 360. And you know, you have obviously several rocket blasts of different lengths, and they fit in just like that. So you have small, medium, and large. And then you have this one back blast. And I typically, use this for where the small one is. So I imagine that as it's coming out, you would have more of a back blast, and then it would dissipate as it continues to travel. So yeah, there's that. And then if you don't want to display it with the rockets firing, you can put in, uh-oh, I lost one. And they snap into place very nice. And that one didn't. There we go. So yeah, so those are 3, 6, 9, 12. Very cool. So yeah, so I really like that. Honestly, this is kind of the fact that this came bundled. That was what sold me on it. So you have that, and then you can again kind of pinch it, take it out, and then you have a hatch. If you don't want either, and again, just the 2 tabs. Now, this is fine for just 2 tabs, because there's no extra weight or anything like that. But I think the others should have 4, and then you can just pop that into place. Pop that into place. Pop it into place. I actually haven't popped it into place yet. This is the first time I put the hatch on. And there you go. And is it? Well, I don't think it's snug. Okay, well. Sorry guys, I'm having a little trouble here. Well, maybe that's the way it's supposed to look. Okay, so there's the hatch completely on. That's what it looks like. And so yeah, I'm pretty cool. I think the weapons are great. I think they feel great. Feel quality. And yeah, so let's see, what else do we need to look at? Okay, so here we are at the rear of the vehicle. Rezvani on the back, trailer hitch. I wonder if we're going to get some kind of accessory, the tow, like some kind of an additional weapon system in the future. So it comes with this M240 on a adjustable arm with a box magazine. Comes with 2 gas cans that you can fit into the back. So some more display options there. So this thing pops off a peg, and I will say that I had the hardest time with this, keeping this thing on here. It's mainly due to the fact that this box and the little belt here, it feels solid. It feels like a good plastic, but the tension of this as you mount it onto the 240 here, and you kind of have to plug it in, little tab right there, and then the tension just has a tendency to knock this thing right off its post there. So, and then you try to put it into a figure's hand, get the figure in there, and keep everything together. It's just, I would recommend put the figure in there. Well, I would say probably take your figure, put the weapon in your figure's hand, get it in the position that you want it, and then put this on here and onto the peg, and then adjust it where you need it, and then put it onto the tab, the 240 onto the tab right here, and then lastly feed the belt into it. And I'd probably not try to force it too much, just kind of let it sit there a little bit. It's got some, like little detents, I guess, where the tab will fit, and it's not deep in there. It's not a hole all the way through. I think I would have preferred that. That would have made it a lot easier if there was just just a hole. You could just feed it in there. It's big enough to feed the belt through, and kind of takes up the resistance and the tension and everything. But it has the peg right here, and it's only goes one way, and it's just a little, I don't know, it's just a little problematic. So that's really the only thing that I had the most trouble with. So, but I mean, once it's on there, I mean, without the belt pushing on it, it stays on there and it feels fairly snug. you know, it's not going to fall off or anything. And it's really good. It's a really cool weapon. I really like it. And here's a little belt that fell out. But M240, and it looks very cool. And you can, you know, put this in your figure's hand, you know, your Reaper's hand, and have him carry it around. And it does come with its own belt. Now, like I said, it feeds into these, you know, kind of locks into place on these detents there, and it fits fairly snugly, but it's not, the recess is not deep enough, in my opinion. Like I said, I think it would be better if it went all the way through. But because trying to kind of manipulate this and put it into somebody's hand, it's going to fall out a bit, but you just have to work with it a bit. And so it just kind of pops out fairly easily. But it looks very cool. The paint on the bullets turned out really well as the belt. So that's really cool, the black and the gold there. So that is the weapon system. So you have another weapon to go along with, to add to your Action Force arsenal. And then you can just recess it, rotate it around. Well, I want to show it. Let's see how you can position it. There you go. And then, yeah, like that. And it's not, stays in place. Now you have a little groove here to get you, you're gonna have to get your fingernail under, so it locks in place, or you can just do that. So, and it does not go up any higher than that. And the doors come off, the side doors, and I'll show you that in a second, but don't mess with that. Don't try to, this hatch is not meant to come off, so don't mess with that. No light up lights or anything like that, otherwise this thing probably would have cost $300. Let's see, rubber wheels, good runners. Let's see, oh, let's just show the shovel. You have a nice kind of flexible little shovel. So if you ever have to do some digging, and it snaps into place right there. And let's see, you got the doors. They open like that, and you can see your figures inside there, or my figures. And I do have them with their loadout, so I'm actually going to pop these doors off just to show you. So, and I have to go through the back here. Be careful. There you go. So 3 holes, 3 peg holes, and you kind of have to feel around a little bit to get them lined up, but the doors do come off without much trouble. And there's even interior design, you know, the door handle and the lock and handholds and I guess maybe speakers. So you got that. And let's see if I can get, there we go. Same way on the driver's side door. Good texture. So yeah, very cool. And let's see. Okay, so here is the vehicle with all of the doors off, and I wanted to zoom in a little bit and kind of show you the interior. Now mainly just the silver on the console. There's some paint in there. So I guess there's like a GPS screen and some environmental controls and your radio. Don't mess with the levels. And yes, I think the steering wheel will actuate the tires, but I'm doing it in reverse, so you can probably see the steering wheel move as I'm moving the tires. The gear shift does not move, nothing there. You do have space for your, you know, like you have cup holders and stuff like that. And the seats do move. They're a little difficult at first, so they need a little authority applied to them, but they do go forward and back. And it's a little hard. They're very hard plastic. I mean, I wasn't expecting cushions, but let's back out a little bit. Sometimes you have to work with it. I'm still kind of learning how to get these guys in here, and you can't always get their you know, get them seated flush, get their bottoms on the seats. So just kind of bear that in mind. I mean, you can get them in there, but it just might not look completely normal. And as you can tell from the Reaper here, if you watch my first video, this is the action or the gear pack for the Steel Brigade. And so I swapped out the head and everything. So he's got armor vest, he's got his pistol on, and so you can get the figures in there with their kit on, so that's pretty cool. So I wanted to show that. So that's what he looks like without the doors on. And then he also comes with a winch. And he goes out, oh, about 9-10 inches, I think. So, and then there's a crank on either side. You can crank it back in. So that's kind of cool. You got some display options here. You know, you have some, you know, if you're a photographer, you have some scenarios you can do. So that's kind of cool. It has a winch there. And this actually pops out, so that's great. So there's some modularity there. Some of the hull armor plugs in right there, so they were thinking ahead. And then it very easily pops back in. So yeah, and nice rubber tires. Feels pretty good. And since we're on this side, I will show you the steering wheel. So that's nifty. Some people don't like it. They wonder what the point is. I know some people would have liked an engine, you know, like the hood to go up and an engine to be in there. Maybe the Vamp does that. It doesn't bother me either way. I mean, would it have been cool? Yeah, but I'm not gonna knock it for that. I mean, you know, the original Vamp didn't have a engine and a working hood or anything like that. Maybe the new one does now, but you know, hey, some people just want to complain. I mean, people like what they like, and maybe they would have liked to have been fine paying $250 for this thing for it to have a molded plastic engine in there. I'm fine with it not. You know, it is what it is. But in plastic, you know, it feels okay. You know, I mean, some people have complained about how it kind of sounds a little hollow or, you know, that sort of thing. But again, it doesn't feel like some kind of cheap plastic thing you'd find at Dollar General or anything. Runners are pretty good. I do like the handholds up here. They're a little flexible, which I think is probably, I would imagine, is by design, so that there's some flexibility. So that if you're having figures hang on to it, if this was more solid, rigid plastic, I can see it breaking fairly quickly. So having some flexibility is probably a good thing, but just be aware of that. And then, let's see, underneath, you know, they could have just had this flat black piece of plastic, but they molded some mufflers and some tubing and, you know, the exhaust system and differential and all of that kind of stuff. So pretty cool. I mean, they kind of went out, and there's, you know, screws are in there just fine and tight and snug. I haven't had to go in there and tighten them or anything like that. Everything feels fairly solid. But let's see, I don't think I left out anything else. I think that is, have we gone all the way around? I think so. So yeah, that is the Vanguard. I'm going to leave the doors off because the Hall system video is coming up next, and you have new doors with armored windows and everything. So I'm going to leave this as it is, but I'm going to give, I think I gave the Reaper figure a warp factor of 9. I'm going to give the Vanguard a warp factor of 9. Yeah, I think this thing is fairly solid. Other than wanting a couple of extra tabs up here, I don't really see much to complain about. I think it's a good representation of the real world vehicle. I think there's a lot of, you know, a lot of customization here. There's a lot of different ways of displaying it. All right, so that's the Vanguard. Thanks for watching, guys. I think it's pretty cool. Warp factor of 9. Continue to be awesome, guys. And I'll see you next time.